kind of my fault is because of two very specific instances, and neither of these instances even happened in my yard. I was just the employee that was like, okay, I'm taking over, move, you let this happen, I'm gonna fix it. The first one, the place that I worked at, it was where I went to college, so it was in Georgia, and this happened in the middle of the summer. The yards had astroturf, and the turf was getting replaced, and there were delays, and instead of closing the business down until it was suitable for the dogs again, she stayed open. So like I said, this is the middle of summer in Georgia, the yards are bare asphalt. There's no turf on them, and she refused to close business. So without notifying the owners of the dogs, every dog that came to daycare was forced out all day onto the asphalt. It was awful. There was one dog, literally scorched his paw pads off. They fell off. I called the owner. I said, you need to take your dog to the vet right now. If you're not able to do so, I will do it for you. I explained to her everything. She came and got her dog. She was pissed. Rightfully so. She was so angry. Not at me, but at the owner, because there was no turf on the yards and she had no idea. When I notified my boss, this dog got injured, I told the owner. She was furious. She was so angry that I was honest with the owner. The second time, there was this one really sketchy yard in the back. None of us used it unless we absolutely had to. It had a chain link fence, which for a doggy daycare, that's a very big safety issue. You should not have a chain link fence. There was a dog fight. One of the dogs got injured because he got caught in the fence. Gonna leave it at that. I called the owners. They were out of town. I took the dog to the vet. I told the vet everything. When I told my boss, she immediately implemented the new policy. She didn't want us telling anybody because both times it was 100% the facility's fault because it was not a safe environment. So that is why I quit. So the policy that made me quit was actually put in place because of me. I know that sounds really bad, so just give me a second to explain myself. Basically, when I started, this policy originally was if a dog got injured. Who you might know as a teenage Jane in Jane's Virgin. Max Middleman as Overflow, who also played Saitama in One Punch Man. Travis Willingham as Cannonball. John DiMaggio as Forearms, who, if you don't already know, is the voice of Jake the Dog in Adventure Time, and Bender is Futurama. Greg Sipes as Stinkfly, who you might know as Beast Boy from Teen Titans. Josh Keaton as Accelerate, known for his role as Spider-Man in Spectacular Spider-Man and Shiro in the new Voltron reboot. And Daryl Sabaro as Heat-Blast, otherwise known as Rex from Generator Rex. These are just a few of the many roles you might recognize this all-star cast from. And with such talented actors, I think they live up to the original voices. Aliens. Of course, when it comes down to Ben 10, who can forget the lovable aliens? Many of the fan favorites from the original series, including Heat Blast, Diamond Head, and Grey Matter, have returned in the reboot. But new aliens have also joined Ben's entourage. These newcomers are introduced gradually over the course of the 2016 series. Some of these new aliens are fusions or hybrids of two or more of Ben's aliens, and include Amalgam Ben and Grey Arms. Amalgam Ben is the fusion between Ben and the DNA of his 10 unlocked aliens in the Omnitrix. Grey Arms is a fusion between aliens Grey Matter and Forearms. Then there's Overflow, a red alien with hydro powers that most likely replaced Water Hazard from the original.
Whether you're new to the world of crochet or a seasoned stitcher looking to advance your skills, Creative Crochet Corner is the place for you. From choosing the right hooks and yarns to mastering complex stitches. It seems today that the animation world is dominated by reboots, Adult Swim, and Adventure Time. But where are all those good old-fashioned shows on which we used to rely? Well, they're still here. With shows like South Park and The Simpsons still going, it's no shocker that Family Guy is still kicking, albeit a bit differently. Hi, I'm Adrian with Channel Frederator, and today we're going to take a look at how the Griffins and the show in general have changed over the years. This is Then versus Now, Family Guy. Writing and humor. One thing on which we can all agree is that writing has changed significantly. How could it not after having been on air for so many years? It takes any animated series a couple of seasons before they hit their stride. Seth MacFarlane himself said that Family Guy is derived from The Simpsons, which was bound to happen, since the latter is one of the most successful TV series of all time. MacFarlane also mentioned that the formula has been improved from The Simpsons, a rather bold claim since The Simpsons is still on the air. Family Guy's reliance on cutaway and standalone gags was inspired by The Simpsons as well. MacFarlane knew how memorable those Simpsons bits were and wanted to use it as a tool. But whereas The Simpsons used it pretty sparingly, like having Homer daydream about a chocolate land. Family Guy incorporated it as a regular structural device in most episodes. That device became a Family Guy trope that wasn't well received in writing circles, but it was a huge hit with fans and did include some of the show's most memorable moments, like Cookie Monster Rehab or Bush hiding in a treehouse after Katrina. In later seasons, the gags are used slightly less often, but are usually much longer when they do throw it in there. An example of this is Alan Rickman's answering machine in season 7. It's a very long cutaway that could have been an episode within itself, and the fans loved it. With more recent seasons, Family Guy received harsh criticism regarding their humor, whereas early seasons had shocking jokes for the sake of making a statement. More recent episodes tend to have shocking jokes just for the sake of being shocking and purposely pushing boundaries. Some say they're trying to push the envelope as far as they can without being fined by the FCC. The show has also been accused of taking a left-wing turn, not just a left-wing opinion, but a wholesale jump into an anti-woke, anti-teen, anti-family far left. Many of the recent episodes lampoon Republicans and generally make fun of right-wing agendas and ideals, like the scene showing how Republicans pray, for example. Congress predominantly white. Peter Griffin mocking Donald Trump. Suffice to say, Republican fans have not been happy with recent seasons, some even vowing not to watch the show anymore. The animation improvements were a big success for fans when it happened, as some liked the new look and some hated it. With every animation show, the current episodes knock the socks off the old ones because of budget growth with popularity. Watching Family Guy now, we see an incredible use of texture enhancements, color adjustments, and just a plain cleaner look. You can just take a look at the opening sequence, and it demonstrates the overall improvement of the show. There are shadows added, reflections, and a general feel. This style change was first put into effect in the Halloween episode with James Wood, called And Then There Were Fewer. The show is now in an HD format and no longer broadcast in 4:3 ratio, but rather 16:9. But some fans prefer the old-fashioned style of the show to the new one. Do you like the new look? Let us know in the comments. Casting. Where would we be without the voices of Family Guy? If you're a fan of the show, you're definitely a fan of the voice actors behind the work. Most of them have stayed the same, but there are some changes worth mentioning. One interesting change is that William H. Macy was set to play the role of Brian. When you ask yourself, how did such a renowned and well-known actor get removed, you have to ask yourself, could I ever hear Brian's voice be anything different than what it is?
Is that a beer hall?
Oh, yeah. You think it's right now, but it's not like beer hall. It's actually a widely used impression on media platforms like YouTube and Vine. If the voice were William H. Macy's, then it would seem like we're all just doing a William H. Macy impression. Well, Seth did the voice during the pilot, and the executive producers could not imagine it being anything different. So it stuck.
Hey, barkeep, who's like you at the hump to get a dry martini around here?
Another voice worth mentioning is that of Meg, which has been on its own journey, maybe even more than her character. Not many people know this, but she's been voiced by 4 different people in the show's lifespan. It all started within the family. Seth MacFarlane's sister, Rachel MacFarlane, actually voiced Meg in the initial pilot. She was quickly replaced by Cree Summer, who you may know as Winifred from NBC's A Different World, or who you may know in the voice acting world as Elmira from Tiny Toon Adventures and Susie from Rugrats. Cree was fired for not quite nailing the voice, which she herself admitted she knew she didn't do a great job, and was just waiting until they noticed. She was then replaced by Lacey Chabert, but that didn't last long either, since Lacey only voiced Meg for the first season, and then left to continue school and her role in Party of Five. Lacey was then replaced by then 15-year-old Mila Kunis, who's retained the role to this day. The voice of Death himself was also recast.
Oh, I made a mistake, huh? Then what do you call this?
SNL's Norm Macdonald originally voiced the sarcastic and hilarious voice of Death, but was later replaced by Adam Carolla, who many fans of the show rioted against. Maybe they feel like Death cheated them.
Wouldn't mind finding that thing myself.
The voice of Angela, Peter's no-nonsense, hard-ass boss at Bobsucker Brewery, hasn't changed yet, but will have to be if they continue to have her appear in the show. Her voice was done by Carrie Fisher, who sadly passed away in December 2016. Fisher did already record 2 episodes for 2017, but the show will have to recast that role if Angela comes back for more shipping department shenanigans. Peter goes from misogynist to unlearning fool. Okay, enough about the voices. Let's get into the characters themselves. First up, Peter. Peter used to be the clear protagonist and centerpiece, with nearly all episodes revolving around him and the other family members and Dog, having to settle for secondary stories and subplots. Now we get episodes focused on other family members like Brian and Stewie. Peter's personality also changed a bit. At the start of the show, he was incredibly misogynistic and only slightly unintelligent. She's suing you and the company for sexual harassment.
Sharon.
Oh, she don't want me videotape taking a dump?
His character then slowly turned into straight moron in the later seasons, almost flanderizing his character with the over-exaggeration of stupidity. The misogyny is now gone, and it's pure idiocy that rules his behavior. In the earlier seasons, there also used to be some sort of lesson that Peter learned after his many screw-ups, but now he just rolls around in a pile of jokes, never learning from his mistakes. That's not to say these jokes are without merit. If you tune in now, you'll be slapped with some pretty funny yet standalone material, but the lessons have been long abandoned. Another change from earlier seasons is Peter's job. He used to work at Happy Go Lucky Toys, whereas now he works at the Pawtucket Brewery, much more suited to the alcoholic family man who loves his beer. He certainly loves it more than he loves Meg.
Thanks, didn't want to pay for the whole.
Meg and Chris become punchlines. Meg has long been a topic of discussion, and not just because of the voice changes. In earlier seasons, Meg is a normal teenage girl trying to fight her way through high school and find puppy love with all the popular boys.
How about a movie?
I want to go out with dudes.
Many episodes centered around her, dealing with things like prom and peer pressure. Peter, her unruly father, would always get in the way, usually trying to protect her or be there for her. Nowadays, however, Meg has been dubbed the punching bag. Everyone in the family seems to hate her, or at least find her pathetic. Even Lois, who seems to be the most loving one.
Mom, she's so sad and lonely. Look how that's talking.
Meg runs out of the room crying more often than not, which many fans find very funny, but others feel that Meg bashing has run its course. Some fans prefer to see her back in her element as a struggling prepubescent with normal problems exaggerated by her funky family. Chris has actually undergone a similar change. Both he and Meg have gone from the normal teen with enough angst to fill the family glass to punchline characters that rarely get their own storyline. You'll still see that stupid monkey pointing and watching him from time to time, but the day where Chris goes to school and wants to ask a girl out is over. Stewie's character arc. Looking at viewer reactions, Stewie seems to have had the most positive development. He first attracted our attention by running around with grenades and laser guns that he built himself, by trying to kill his own mother, and by aiming for world domination. But his character has been much more developed since then, and less flanderized in recent years. Now, many of the best episodes have surrounded the baby, from romance stories to time travel experiences. He looks for his own father, learns lessons, and yes, officially gives up trying to kill Lois. His newfound partnership with Ryan in later seasons is a fan favorite watch, and if you ask me, should have been the spin-off series instead of the Cleveland show. They even got their own little mini-series in the show, in the Road 2 episodes. Oh, yes, and Stewie's gay. Or so seems to be the audience consensus.
Massive